Yeah. So sound check.
Sound
1
check.
million, 2 million.
It's been a while since I recorded the last interview, but we're glad to be back. This time with our friend Daniel. Last name.
Hötti.
Maybe we should start with that. What's the story behind the pronunciation? I mean, we could tell a little bit about your background that way.
Basically, the name Hötti, it's a Finnish name. And in Finnish language, we have all the letters just like in English, but we have 2 extra letters that you have them also like in few other languages. And apparently, I just figured out recently, we have it also in Hebrew, but not in the modern way. The Yemenite people know to pronounce the letters. It's spelled H, O with 2 dots on it, and double T, I. And O with 2 dots, instead of O, we pronounce it Ö. So in Hebrew we have the Kamatz and the Holam that basically the Sfaradim both say O.
Yeah.
And the Yemenites say Kamatz O, and the Holam they say Hölam. It's Ö, and that's basically the letter that I have in my family name.
Oh. And what's the Hebrew letter that would be used?
Basically they tried to translate it from Finnish to Hebrew, and we don't have the letter, so they just skipped it. So it said like Hey, Tet, Yud.
Oh.
They just skipped it.
Also, tell us about your grandparents as far back as you know where they came from.
And so from my mother's side, my grandparents, they were born in Yemen, and they made Aliyah, and my mom was born already in Israel. And from my dad's side, they are Finnish. I don't know how many generations, but they are not Jewish. Mm-hmm. So they are just Finnish. Pretty much they don't believe in anything, like atheists. But I'm lucky that the mother's side are Jewish, so I have also the...
Did you meet your grandparents?
Yeah, I remember my grandparents from my father's side. I met my grandparents, my dad's father, just for a short time until he passed away. He used to smoke a lot, and eventually that what took him. And recently my father's mother also passed away, and I went to visit her when I was back in Finland. I used to visit her like once a year maybe. And my grandparents from my mother's side, that they basically moved to Israel. My mother's mother, she's still alive, but already pretty old. I think we're not sure, but around the age of 90. But she's already very old. And my mother's father passed away, I think, 5 years ago.
Does the frame look good? Is it recording? What was life growing up like in Finland for you?
Basically, I grew up not religious at all. I went to non-Jewish schools, and because we have pretty many Arabs compared to Jewish in Finland, so my mother decided not to talk with us in Hebrew. So I basically didn't know anything. Just few words that I heard from my mom calling my grandparents, Shalom, Manishma, and just the basic stuff. We did like very few traditional stuff like Yom Kippur. That was the day what we used to fast. We didn't really keep, we were on the phones and stuff, but that's the day of fasting. And mostly on, like most of the Pesach, we managed to bring some matzot. And that's pretty much it. That's what my background. I knew later on, like eventually, what's the meaning of like mezuzah, the Jewish people put it on the door. I figured out nobody else has it except for us. And I met a few Jewish people around, friends of friends, but I didn't really know what it means or what should we do as Jewish.
So what was your first exposure to Orthodox Judaism?
I went a few times to the synagogue, like on my bar mitzvah. I prepared just few psukim, and a few other hagim. We went, we didn't really observe the Shabbat, so I think we drew over there on Shabbat. or on the Hag, but that's how I got related to the celebration of Hagim, Shabbat. I think one of the times was Sukkot that I went there, and also one of the times we had a program that we made our shofar, and that's I still have it today. It has a very nice sound, and those are the most simple, basic stages where I understood. Okay, I'm a Jew, and there's something into it, but I didn't really know too much.
Wow. And what did you end up doing after high school?
Well, when I finished my high school, that was just a bit before we moved to Israel. My parents got divorced many years ago, and eventually my mother ended up becoming again religious. Like, she grew up in a religious family, and when she was in Israel, and she did the army and eventually left the path. And my dad was in Israel. They met. Eventually, my mom decided to move to Finland, but didn't work out, so they got divorced. And when my mother became religious, she figured out, okay, there's no better place to be than to come back to her family, to Israel. But everybody was in a different stage of life. Like, we're 5 brothers. The oldest one already left to live by himself. Usually, it's in Finland, when you become 18, the children move to live by themselves, start their lives. That's why my bigger brother did. I'm the second one. I was still at home with my mom. I was already 18, and when my mother asked, do we want to move to Israel, that was half year before finishing my high school. So I told her, okay, I never planned on staying in Finland, because the weather is cold, the people are cold. And that's the reason I always, many times went abroad. I traveled abroad with my friends, mostly Europe, and I figured out, people are warm, the weather is warm. Okay, so I don't want to be in Finland, but I didn't decide yet where to move. I always had a dream about a place with a beach and palm trees, waves. And whenever my mom asked, what do you think? Would you like to move to Israel? I thought for about 10 seconds, and I said, yeah, I mean. And eventually I told her, okay, but I would prefer finishing my high school in here, because I don't know how can I finish it, I was studying in 2 schools at the same time. I learned also to be a chef and also did the bagruyot, like the regular high school exams. So I don't know if they have it in Israel. So I said, okay, let me finish up that, and then let's go. Why not? And my younger brothers, they basically didn't have choice but to come with us. So that's what we did eventually.
And what was your integration experience like here?
Basically, before the Aliyah, I think 3 years before it, we came for 1 month to visit our Savta. And my mom grew up in Netanya, so we came over there, and I saw the beach, I saw the people, and I said, okay, I think that's what I was dreaming for. Eventually, I wouldn't have a problem to move to this place. And also, I felt that people in the streets, even the ones I don't know, basically even homeless people, I felt that they are closer to me than my own dad. So that was pretty easy choice to leave the country and to move over here. Right. I didn't think too much what to do after moving, but I was open-minded.
And tell us about your next couple of years after you settled into Israel, what you ended up doing.
Mm-hmm. So when I moved to Israel, I didn't know Hebrew. I didn't even manage to know the difference between Hebrew and Arabic, even the letters. So I came in the summer, so I was in the beach basically for a couple of months until the Ulpan started. Mm-hmm. So I went to the Ulpan, I learned for 5 months, learned the basics, reading, writing, a bit talking. And to make it more efficient, I decided for about the first year in Israel not to speak English. So I did my best, made a lot of mistakes. People laughed at me, I joined them. It was funny, but thanks to the support of the people, I managed to learn and pick up the language pretty fast. Compared to my other classmates that are mostly, they were half of the class, they were French and Russians. And they have their communities where they can work and go to shops and talk with themselves in their languages. Yeah. So they had a much harder time to pick up the language. And we didn't have anyone from Finland in Netanya, so I didn't have no one to talk in my language. So basically, it was for my best eventually. So after finishing the Ulpan, the very same day we got the Teudot, we passed through a coffee shop called Tony, and that's one of my names in my Teudat Zut. It says Tony Daniel. But in the Brit Mila, they said only Daniel. So I'm trying to move on to use only the Daniel. But back then, people used to call me Tony. And the place is called Tony. And we saw, an ad. We tried to read it. Drushim Ovdim. It took a bit longer to understand what it says. And they said, wait a minute, it says Tony, you're Tony, go ask for a job. Mm-hmm. So I asked them, they said, okay, what's your name? I said, Tony. They said, okay, you're in. And I was staying over there for almost 2 years, working as a waiter, coffee shop, ice cream place. I thought that would be the best place to work, to work in, to be with people, service. It ended up not being the best place in the means of learning Hebrew, because most of the customers were French and English speakers. So eventually I picked up a bit French instead of Hebrew, but it was also good because I got to know the locals and made a lot of new friends, Israelis, and that made me learn the language much faster also. And after that, I got invited to the army to do 3 years of service, but I ended up meeting a person, like a high-ranked person in the army, who asked me, okay, you want to do the army? I said, is there a choice? And he said, yeah, if I decide, you don't have to. And basically, I think that's mostly because he was just on a trip in Finland. He understood their mentality, that they don't really like wars and are pretty neutral in the means of wars and stuff. So he understood me that I don't really care about shooting people. That's not something I'm into. So he chose that I don't have to do the army. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, that changes my plans. What should I do now? And I ended up searching for a place to study. And I went I did an application to the University of Ariel to study civil engineering. And before it also, I had to do a psychometric test and also, an exam, how's my Hebrew? And I ended up getting in the university. I remember I did a mechina to the university just to, make up the maths and physics that I didn't learn in the, proper level. And I remember in the first I think months in the mechina, I understood basically half of the words that they are speaking and talking. And the other half, I basically concluded from the physics. You have pictures and you can understand how it's working, the physics. So from the pictures and the basic understanding, I could make up the rest of the words that I didn't understand by myself. And eventually I ended up getting good grades from the mechina. I started the degree, and with the time my Hebrew got even better and better. And towards the last year of the studies, I started teaching also others, like working as a teacher's assistant. And I finished my degree with very high grades, בהצטיינות יתרה, how do you call it? My average grades were 92 out of 100. Yeah. So it was pretty good, Baruch Hashem. And till today, I'm still working as a teacher's assistant in the university. So I have some of the week, I'm working few times a week, and the rest I have some free time, spending with friends and stuff. And that's basically in general what I was doing ever since I moved to Israel. And if we'll talk a bit about the religion, how I got the payas and stuff, I came out with no background, and I remember myself asking, wait a minute, why is everything closed on Shabbat? That's the day of going out, partying, and everything. And I figured out, okay, there's a day in Judaism that we rest. So I was thinking for myself again, okay, nothing is open, so maybe I should try it. So I was just trying out the Shabbat. Instead of going out, I was on my computer or phone. That was my way of like observing Shabbat in the first steps. And in the beginning, I remember it was pretty hard to leave the phone. You know, I was feeling like, what if someone's searching for me? It was like not a nice feeling. But after some times, like a couple of weeks or months, I try to look at it in a different way of perspective. Like instead of looking, okay, maybe someone's looking for me, I could say, wait a minute. Even if someone's looking for me, I don't need to care about it today. So they can wait. So ever since, with the time, basically, I started to enjoy the Shabbat. And putting on tefillin, I remember that I started in the streets, by the Chabad. Did you put on tefillin? I said, what's that? The thing in the bar mitzvah. Oh yeah. So I started putting on in the streets, but I didn't yet have a mind. Like I had it, but I didn't really open it. So with the time, I started, search where it's located. I found my tefillin, started to put it on, but I wasn't sure how kosher it is with the time. So I ended up buying myself a new pair, and that's when I started to put on tefillin. And I started to go on to the shul on Shabbats, and I remember I can't forget it basically. The day I had how do you call it? I felt very ashamed of myself. Like the most experience with the biggest shame in my life was on Shabbat. I started to go to a shul of Erot HaMizrach, like Moroccan people. They have long roots. In the end of the tefillah, they say Aleinu Leshabeach, but they don't say the second part, Al Ken Nekavelach. That's too modern for them. The rabbi over there was the Rabbi Shlush, Zichron Livracha. He was the chief rabbi of Netanya. And so I ended up coming late to the shul. So I thought to myself, okay, I don't want people to notice, so I put on my talit and stuff. I come to the shul, I see people waving on. I say, okay, hi. More people are saying, so I wave back. Okay, what's going on? That's I felt a bit weird. Everybody's looking at me. So one old person eventually told me, come over here. He told me, on tefillin, not on Shabbat. So that's what the people were trying to say to me. I tell me hi, instead of saying, no, not tefillin on Shabbat. So I ended up putting on the talit, going back to my seat, taking it off. So that's when I learned no tefillin on Shabbat. And I was going always to different shuls, and I was attending some Torah lessons. I learned some halacha and stuff. And I tried always, everything new that I learned, I tried to observe it. And with the time I learned some new things, trying to observe them, but I still had some, bad manners from I grew up in Europe. And also until when I was in the university also, there's I think that was one of the major points in my becoming religious. I had two roads that I had to choose, religious or not. It started from the shul. There's a big shul. It's more compared to other universities. We have a lot of religious people in Ariel, and it's like a shtiblach. Every hour they have a minyan. And whenever comes the time of the tefillah, we need to start on time in order to get to the next class on time. But whenever it comes the time of tefillat mincha, everybody's looking in the crowd on one another. Okay, who's going to be the shalach tzibur? And it can continue for a couple of minutes. Everybody's waiting for it until someone says, okay, I'll do it. But he doesn't say it in simcha. He says, okay, runs over, does the tefillah very quickly, and I couldn't keep up the pace. And I wasn't feel comfortable. That can't be the meaning of tefillah, doing it so fast and without meaning, without feeling. So I ended up thinking to myself, okay, one day I can suggest that I can be the shalach tzibur. I didn't I couldn't do it yet, but eventually I would like to do it. And I start to practice how to do it properly and pronounce the words. And I check the bit some halacha of Shaliach Tzibur, how should we do it? And with the time, I started to suggesting people like, okay, I could do it, but I'm a bit slow. It didn't really matter to the people. It's okay, go ahead. Just start on time. So I started to be Shaliach Tzibur. But eventually I learned in the halacha, to be a Shaliach Tzibur, you have to be Yireh Shamayim, you have to keep all the laws, Lishmor Negiah and stuff, and I didn't really perfect in those fields yet. So that's the point of what I was thinking, wait a minute, what's more important to me? The tefillah, or partying and being with friends and boys and girls and stuff. And I decided tefillah, the religion, that's the truth. And Torah says you should do it and behave properly. So I started to try to get into it more, like to observe more properly in the halacha. And ever since I started to be Shaliach Tzibur during the weeks, eventually also on Shabbats, like big Shabbats, there could be like 300 people on a shul. And I ended up getting good feedback from people, like, okay, people are happy from it, and okay, so I can do religious stuff and still have a good effect on others. So okay, that could be a way of life, way of living. And also got to know the Chabad on campus. They were doing like big Shabbat meals together. They had like Shiurei Torah on the Parsha, a Bitanya, and I ended up going, was like praying with them in the Minyan sometimes. And with the time, I got to became more and more religious. And I started, of course, do the 3 prayers a day, Lishmor Negiah, attending Torah lessons. I've never been to a yeshiva before, but I've been to a lot of Shiurei Torah. And in Chabad, we started to do like the Chabad way. They study after the tefillah a bit parasha with Rashi, a bit halacha by the Rambam. And one of the halacha that the Rambam says that a guy should not put on a ponytail like I used to have. I had a very long hair, and also another problematic thing in halacha, a guy shouldn't have a hair like the women. And I had a long straight hair, made them a bit jealous. And another thing that I heard about long hair for guys is a moshech dinim, like it's not a good thing to have. So I was thinking, okay, probably my next haircut should be a kosher one. And I stopped putting on the ponytail. I still had a long hair, but I didn't close it. So I was searching what should be the next hairstyle. And I ended up seeing like a picture on the Sukkot. Well, someone had on the Sukkah pictures of all the tzaddikim of like a long time ago. The modern one, they have the black kova, short hair, short pelt, short zakan. And if you go, the further you go, the longer the pelt, the longer the zakan, and the hat used to be mitpachad, like a piece of cloth that they wrap around their head. And I said, okay, that will be my next haircut one day. And it took me half a year, and it's now, in a couple of days, it will be 1 year ever since I took away my hair. I cut, zero all over here and left on my pelt. And that used to be the length of my ponytail, basically. And recently, I was someone suggested me to come to learn in a yeshiva. This summer I'm not working. I'm on a break from my work, so I said, okay, I wanted to find a place to study and eventually learn a bit, to lashlim, to pick up the things that I didn't learn in any Jewish school. So I want to learn a bit of everything during the summer. And someone told me, you should go to Or Sameach. I said, okay, I checked on the program. It says from morning till evening, different lessons, a bit Gemara, Chumash, basically everything. And I said, okay, that's it. That's what I wanted to learn. And here, that's the place where I found it. And for the last month of Elul, I could say that's been the holiest time that I've felt for myself. And also I learned most about the Judaism that I've been basically, things that I could learn in half a year, I did in a month. So I'm very grateful for being here and for the rabbis to having me over.
That's beautiful. And about the shofar history, can you tell us your relationship to shofar blowing?
Yeah, basically, the first shofar that I had, I did it in Finland. Polished it and stuff. It was a shofar of an isle, lo isle, ez. Ez, it's called. How you call it in English?
Is that a goat?
A goat, yeah, a goat's horn. And it was like it had a very loud sound, and I used to blow it by myself on Rosh Hashanah. When I go to a shul, okay, I hear it over there, but when I'm at home, I blow it just in case to make sure I heard it properly. And a year ago, I wanted to upgrade it to a shofar of oil. That's the most and that's the best one to have. And also the Yemenite way that I have some Yemenite roots. They go by Rambam that says the shofar you shouldn't touch it, just leave it as it is, as natural as you can. They don't make it straight; they just leave it as it is. So I went to the biggest factory of shofarot somewhere in the north, and I went over all of his shofarot, the Yemenite, the big ones, and there was one shofar with a very deep and loud sound that I ended up buying. It was also the most expensive, but I asked the person who made it, for how many years does this shofar last? It's not cheap, so how long should it last? He said it doesn't last for years. It lasts for a lifetime. And ever since, I learned also the halacha, how to properly blow it, the Yemenite way, the Sfaradi, Ashkenazi way. And last year I learned from Chabad, they usually go, Mitzrayim, they go all over the city and ask people, did you hear the shofar? And that's what I did also last year. I went all over Netanya, asked people, and I ended up blowing the shofar for a lot of people.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
In the next couple of years, where do you see your life heading, both in terms of work and also Judaism?
So basically, one of my goals was in this summer to learn, and also to learn how to learn by myself. So eventually, when I go back to work, I'm not working full time. I have some I have a lot of spare time and some free days also. So on the days that I'm working, I want to spend the breaks that I have in the spare time to learn by myself. And on the days that I'm not working, I think I'll try to find maybe a yeshiva or a place that I can find people to study with. And eventually, of course, I want to get married.
Amen.
And bring up my family in as observant way as possible. My goal is to keep the Torah, everything that it says. Eventually, whenever everything that I learn, I want to learn more and more, and all the time to bring up to become more and more religious. And eventually, if God wants to help others become also religious, maybe by my story, or I can use my history of. There's a way of saying I can turn the averot, the bad stuff that I did, into zchuyot, if I use them for a good meaning to make others.
Share with us some hashgacha pratit stories that you have.
Okay, so back in Finland, when I wasn't religious, I remember one time that I felt like someone was protecting on me. I couldn't say it in words like Baruch Hashem, thank God or stuff, but I felt, wow, something interesting happened over here. So I was in a class with mostly girls and just a few guys, and we were learning how to sew and you do things with like the girls usually do. And we had this class where we were given 4 metal sticks and a ball of thread, and we were doing a scarf or something, I don't know. And one of the guys in the class were only few. One of them, Finnish original goy, he told me, take this ball of thread, the big one, hold it over here. And I said, okay. I was thinking for something, and I'll skip it for now. And then I took it, I hold it, and he took, loaded up his hands. He had a quirky smile, and he hit at my hand. And inside the ball of thread, there was a metal stick that went through my hands up to the middle of his hands. And I don't know, you can't see it, because what happened, the thing that I skipped, what I was thinking about, and that's the Ashkaha Pratit. I was less than younger than 10 years old. And whenever he told me to hold it, I said, okay, what if he would be such a bad person and hide a metal stick in it and try to hit me? So I just gently pushed it, and I felt there's something in it. So I pushed it gently without him noticing, and I placed the metal stick between my fingers. So whenever he hit it, I was okay, if he really means to hurt me, he's gonna hurt himself, so he better not. Whatever, he eventually ended up hitting my hands, and the rod skipped my arms and went straight into the middle of his arms. He started screaming, and people were looking, what did I do to him? I said, no, he did to me. And that's the moment I felt, okay, someone gave me the chokhmah, like the wisdom to think about it. I have no idea where I got that idea from as a small child. And that's the moment I wanted to say Baruch Hashem. I didn't know what to say, but so maybe this is the time to say Baruch Hashem, thank God for the wisdom I got at that moment. And there are a few other Ashgaha Pratit that I had related to my allergies. I remember when I was very young, once I got a half a banana on my way home from after school, and I took a bite, and my face started like blowing up and itching, and I ran home. Eventually I figured out, okay, I have allergy to banana. And with the time I figured out I'm allergic to a lot of fruit and vegetables and nuts in addition to banana. And okay, I ended up living, adapting myself to it. That's one of the reasons I studied to be a chef, not to work in it, just to be able to take care of myself, because I don't like to be dependent on others. And when I moved to Israel, and I figured out, okay, that's maybe also one of the traits of being Yemenite. In Finland, the school is for free. And why to go to one school if I can go to two schools at the same time for the price of one for free? So I ended up studying to be a chef. Okay, whenever I moved to Israel, I ended up giving some tzedakah to a blind person in Netanya. I gave him, a few bills a few times, and he ended up recognizing my voice. And I told him basically whatever I told you. And he told me, you know what, you should go to the Bituach Leumi and ask them for a free education. I said, okay. Someone in the street tells me stuff like that, it's expensive to study in universities. So I told my mom, could you go check it up? And eventually, what the guy meant, I have a profession. I studied to be a chef. I have a profession that I can't work in it because I have a lot of allergies. I cannot work as a chef. So that's basically like a case of someone who's working with his hands, and lo aleinu ends up in an accident and breaks his hands. He can go and ask for another job, another profession, and the country will give him. And that's what they did to me. That's the way I got the degree in the university for free. Also the dorms, also I can't work during the study, so I got also money for living. And also the mechina and the psychometry courses that I did, I got for free. So basically, I want to thank God and the blind person who gave me this idea, that basically it came from tzedakah, and also everyone who pays their taxes for paying my tuition basically. And I made a small calculation how much cost university with all the expenses for 4 years of learning, and basically how much could I have given tzedakah. The amount that I got back, it's not 10 times that usually people will say, it was 100, maybe 1,000 times. And if I'm now working in the field that I studied, also all of my salaries are related to the same tzedakah that I gave. And that's one of the stories. Another thing that happened one of the times in the university, it was Yom Sheni and the second day of Hanukkah. And the day before, I went to a lecture with a friend, and the same day, the day after, basically, we were studying in the library, and we had a weird idea of going again to the same lecture. That's first weird thing that happened. And then we went. Okay, we heard the lecture. After the lecture, I forget to do my homework, so my friend waited to me. I made some things up, sent them, and he waited for me. So after me giving the homework, he wanted to go to office. So okay, he waited for me, I'll wait for him. Okay, mida keneged mida. And whenever I was waiting for him, and here starts the story starts, someone runs to the office and asks, anybody knows the number of the chovesh, a medic? Because someone on the floor above passed out. Okay, I'm sitting, I'm bored. Maybe I should go to look at what's going on, just out of interest, boredom. So I went up and I saw there's a girl, barely conscious, and some of her friends told that maybe it's related to some allergies. Okay, I have some allergies. I once asked the doctor to give me the EpiPen. He told me you don't need it, but I said no, give it anyways, just in case. So I have it, and eventually when the medic came, I told him, I have this thing, syringe in case you need it. Someone told it might be related to allergy. He said, okay, really, where it is? Where do you have it? I said, oh, it's in my backpack in the library. It's like 15 minutes walk from here. So oh, never mind. If she had like a seizure or something, it went away. You're free to go. I said, okay, cool. I went back to the office, a bit bored. I sent a message to my friend, and he's also one of the medics, and he told me, I know, I heard about it. I'm on the way to take care of her also, check up what's going on. And I wasn't like satisfied. I had a weird feeling, so I said, just in case they'll need it, I'll go to check if it's like if the expiration date is still valid, if it's still okay, because I don't really use it, daily. So I walked fast. After 10 minutes, I got to the library. I checked. Okay, it's still valid. It's okay. And I sent my friend. By then, he's over there. I sent the medic a text message. In case you need it, it's okay. I have it. And he didn't answer me. That's pretty weird, because usually he answers me pretty fast. I tried calling him, and he didn't answer me. That's also pretty weird. So I said, just in case, just in case, I'll go back to them, in case they will need it. But I can't take the shortcut with the stairs, because if they are, a medical, emergency, they use the car to move her around. So I'll take the longer road, just in case. So I went, and while I'm in the middle of the way, my friend calls me. He doesn't know where I am. He just tells me, we're on our way to you, to find you. She almost dies. She's almost dead. Something like that he's telling me on the phone, and he hangs up. Okay, so I start running towards the where they're supposed to come from. And they meet me up. They take the thing, put it on her leg, and she starts breathing again. That's my point of view. I asked my friend, he's the chovesh, what happened? He told, it's pretty rare, but usually whenever a person has an allergic reaction, it happens once. But she had another seizure, a harder one, and she started to suffocate. And he knows that the thing that I had, the EpiPen, only it's a prescribed medicine. Nobody has it in the university, except for me. But he doesn't know where I am. So he said, okay, we just have to drive around trying to find him. And he asked me, how did you get here so fast? What did you do here? So I told him, well, I don't know. And that's from his point of view. And a week later, I went to the same class where we found her, and I asked the girl, what happened? She told me she has some weird allergies, but she didn't know what happened to her the same day, but she had an allergic reaction. And she remembered that her EpiPen is in a different bag at home. And that's why he went also, in addition to, she had also like a panic attack. and she fainted. She couldn't talk with anybody. Like, she knew she's going to die. Without the pen, EpiPen, she's going to die. She couldn't talk to people. And that's what happened to her. And what I learned from that case, that or even before people ask for help, search and try to think ahead and help others without them asking for it, and try to think a few steps ahead already. Right. And Baruch Hashem, like I hope she's still alive and everything. And that's like one of the cases where also I should be thankful for the allergies that I have. And I have also like another like short story. Once I had a dream. It was a bit before Pesach, I think. I had a dream where I eat a banana and I pray, More Pri Ha'adama. I take a bite and nothing happened to me. And suddenly I woke up from fear, like from a shock. Why? I forgot to say Shechianu. I used to be allergic to banana and now nothing happened to me. It's the first time eating banana, I should say Shechianu. So from that, for forgetting to say the other blessing, I woke up. And I wrote down how you call it? I wrote down the thing that I dreamt of, so not to forget. And the next week, I just went to a Shiur Torah in Chabad. They talk about the dreams. You have the Chochma, Bina, Vedat, and that is like, we can't understand. It's like so high above. But the Neshama, whenever it goes to sleep, he goes up there and he gets the dot. But we can't understand it. That's why usually when we have a dream, we remember this we can remember it maybe for a few seconds and then we forget it. We don't have the like kelim. We can't understand what's going in the dreams. But there's a trick. If you write it down, you bring the dot to the world and that's it. You won't forget it. That's what happened. I wrote it down and I didn't forget the dream. So what's the next thing that I'm doing? I asked the same medic from the earlier case. I told him, can you be next to me just for a while? I check on myself. I put a piece of banana and nothing happened. I take a small slice, I put in my tongue. It doesn't itch me. So I took a very thin slice of organic banana and made it sure it's as natural as possible. And I'm praying Bore Pri Adama and Shechianu and I ate it and nothing happened. And ever since, I figured out I'm not allergic to banana anymore. And there also like one last thing that I want to share with others. The modern medicine, they don't really have good ideas how to get rid of allergies. So they told me just get used to it once, one day with the age, you'll get rid of the allergies. Usually that's what happened. I'm already 31. I still have like tens of different allergies. Okay, I gotta check for another solution. So I met this rabbi, Yuval Asharov HaKohen. He's very into like a natural way of healing by the Hazal, Rambam and everything. He has his own clinic to like alternative medicine. And I asked him on one of his breaks, basically, is there a natural way of getting rid of allergies? And he says to me, well, you should try doing Nikui Ra'alim, cleaning your body from toxins. I said, okay, cool. I listened to his, lessons in his webpage and stuff. It's interesting, but it wasn't practical enough. So I went to his clinic, and with him, I sat with him and with his assistant, and they wrote me only what to eat, very natural stuff. And after 3 weeks into the diet, just eating healthy, some of my allergies went away, and 4 months into it, my last allergy went away. And I'm today eating the things that I used to be allergic to. So that basically teaches me, and us, that the Torah gives us things that are way smarter and way better than what the universities teach us, even the medicine. That if we only go by the Torah and Hazal, Chachamenu, you can live basically forever, if not in here, in the next life.
Right. Bezrat Hashem, may the merit of your sharing your inspiring story serve that a Shadchan should see this interview and and match you up, Ezrat Hashem.
Amen, amen.
Hashem should bless you
Thank
with
you very much.
a beautiful signing and health for this year and next year and your whole lifetime. And
Amen.
Amen. It was great to be friends with you this summer.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for blowing the shofar for the Slichot video as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to Akiva B for doing the cameraman work today. And until next time.
Shana tova, Chatima tova.
Amen. Amen. Hey.